So in this section, we're going to talk about graphing quadratic functions. So when you graph a general quadratic, so a quadratic f of x, if we call that y, and this is ax squared plus bx plus c, what you're going to see when you graph this is that the curve will either look like this or it will look like this. Okay, now there's a couple of things that are similar to the graphing of linear functions, right? Linear functions had a y-intercept, so we can have a y-intercept as well when we're talking about quadratics. But another distinguishing thing that we can have is called the vertex. So this is a vertex, and that's where the so a quadratic function, when it's graphed like this, is called a parabola. So the vertex of a parabola is where it reaches its lowest point or its highest point. And so this is also a vertex. And which situation you're in really actually just depends on the sign of A. So if A is positive, A is the positive situation. This is when A is negative. Okay, that's how you'll know. But what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you graph the x-intercepts, which are the roots, and we'll use any of the methods that you have learned before to figure out what those roots are, such as the quadratic formula, factoring using the property of 0, or completing the square. You can use any of those. And then the coordinates of the vertex. So once you have the x-intercepts and the vertex, you can actually just kind of fill in what the rest of the curve should be doing. But just keep in mind that you'll know if it's up or down depending on that coefficient of A. So here's another little formula. We can figure out the x-coordinate for the vertex by using the following formula. This will be at x is negative b over 2a. So that'll be sort of our new little formula that we'll need to solve some of these problems. But finding the x-coordinates is just going to be the old method. So you could use the quadratic formula or something similar. Okay, so let's solve this one right here. So let's sketch the following functions and then give the x-coordinates or the roots of the vertex and then sketch the graph. Okay, so to figure out the x-intercepts, we're going to have to solve when this is equal to 0. Okay, because that's when the y value or the function, the output's at 0. So how do you solve that? Well, we could either use the quadratic formula, or if you notice that it factors nicely, we could just use that. Okay, so if we're getting a negative, then one of them has to be positive, one of them has to be negative, one of the factors. And it looks like we could do plus 5 minus 1, and that'll work, right? So then x plus 5 is 0, or x minus 1 is 0. If you can't see the factorization, then you would go straight to quadratic formula, and that'll always work. In fact, you could have just done that now, but if the factorization is really nice, it's pretty quick to figure this out. So this is x is 1. So then we have the coordinates negative 5, 0, and 1, 0. And we can plot those right now. So negative 5, 1. So if this is negative 1, if we increment these by 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So this will be our negative 5, 0, and then 1, 0. Okay, and then let's figure out the vertex. So the x coordinates for the vertex, gave you the formula for that up here, negative b over 2a. So x is negative b over 2a, and you have to come up here and identify what's b. That's 4. So this will be negative 4 over 2 times a, which is 1. So that simplifies to negative 2. And to figure out the y-coordinate, what we'd have to do is plug this in. Plug x equals negative 2 into f of x. So we would have f of negative 2 is equal to, and now plug that in up here. So we have negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 minus 5. So this is 4 minus 8 minus 5. So what is this? Minus 13 plus 4 minus 9. Okay, so our point is negative 2, negative 9. That's our vertex. Okay, so let's increment these by 2. So this is negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, and then negative 10. And our vertex is at negative 2, negative 9. So it'll be about right there. Okay, so negative 2, negative 9 is our vertex. And now our quadratic has to go through these 3 points. All right, so it's going to be sort of this shape here, where it curves, upwards. And just sort of fill that in. If you wanted to get, a very exact answer, then you can figure out some intermediate coordinates. But this is just a sketch for right now, using only those 3 pieces of information. So that would be our sketch. Moving on to our next example, let's do the same exact thing. So let's try to solve this. So find the x-intercepts. We are going to have to solve when 0 is equal to negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. So then this will be negative x and x, and the only factors for 3 are 3 and 1. We have to get negative 2. So what is going to work here? So positive 3. Or sorry, if we're getting negative, let's see what happens. Okay, let's do positive 1, right? And we could check that. So negative x squared, negative 3x, plus x, and then plus 3. Okay, that looks good. And then now, so solving, we have negative x plus 1 equals 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. So this is x is equal to 1, and then this is x is negative 3. So then our coordinates are 1, 0, and negative 3, 0. Those are our points that we'll plot. 1, 0, and negative 3, 0. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then let's figure out where the vertex is. Now notice that the coefficient of x squared is negative, so this is going to be shaped downward. So I'm guessing the vertex is going to be, somewhere here. But let's figure out where it is. The formula for the x coordinate is negative b over 2a. So then this is negative 2 over 2a, and a is negative 1. So then this is 2 over negative 2, so this is negative 1. And then to figure out what the y-coordinate is, we've got to plug that into here. So we have negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1 plus 3. So this is negative times 1, so that's negative 1. And then plus 2 plus 3, so this is 5 minus 1, which is 4. So the vertex coordinates are negative 1, positive 4, right? Negative 1, positive 4. So negative 1, and then if we index these by 1s, 2, 3, 4, it'll be up here, right? So negative 1, positive 4. And then now we're just going to fill in the rest with a sketch. And that looks pretty good.